Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers, back once again for your Atlanta Falcons Week 12 report. And unfortunately, reporting once again on another Atlanta Falcons loss, a tight contest between our Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers in an NFC South showdown that unfortunately saw Carolina pick up the 30-27 win in overtime. In that game, as we know, Bryce Young set a franchise record for Carolina, 448 passing yards, 31 of 45 on the day, 3 touchdowns, as he just shredded apart Atlanta's secondary. Now, when you look over at the Falcons side on offense, Michael Penix Jr., we'll talk more about him in just a moment, was 13 of 16 on the day for 175 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Also, I should note that Bryce Young also kept it clean, no interception on his part as well. For the running game, good bounce back game for Bijan Robinson, 23 carries, $104, and 2 touchdowns for him on the ground. He had a good day, but a lot of people were questioning how come he wasn't used more in the second half. Now, compare that to Carolina, Rico Dowdle, bit of an off day for him. Normally we see him, he's had a lot of really successful games this year. This one was not one of them. 19 carries, 45 yards for him, only averaged 2.4 yards per rush. Now, we mentioned Bryce Young. Who was he throwing the ball to? He had 448 passing yards. He had to be sharing it to somebody. Tedero McMillan, big target on the day. 8 catches for 130 yards, had 2 receiving touchdowns, and also Xavier Legette, former prospect out of South Carolina, had a good day as well. 4 catches, 83 yards, and 1 touchdown for him on the day. Drake London had a great performance, as he seemingly is, obviously he is Atlanta's number 1 receiver, but he is, I think, ranking and moving up higher and higher in just the NFL receiver list in terms of his accolades, in terms of how well he's played this year. 7 catches for him on the day for 119 yards. Unfortunately, once again, no touchdowns for the Falcons in the passing department. But all in all, just rough. Just another tough loss for Atlanta. And when you look at it, the defense, the secondary just couldn't get anything going. No interceptions. However, look at the front line, though. Look at the linebackers. Look at the defensive linemen. They're putting in great work, guys. Another sack performance, 5 sack performance from this Falcons team. And we've seen they put up games where they get 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 7 sacks, and they still lose. And that's really, really just a punch in the gut personally, because we've seen, and we've said for years here on the channel, I've said it, Vince Turner said it, the Falcons would be, they would love to have a season like this on defense where they get to the quarterback, they get pressures, they get sacks. And we're doing that this season with our 2 first-round draft picks, and Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. Those guys have been phenomenal for the rookies that we've had this year. And it's seemingly all for naught. And it's not, it's keeping us in games, no doubt about that. But we just cannot, for whatever reason, we cannot play a full game. We can't compete throughout all 4 quarters. And also the Falcons have had issues in overtimes this year. This was a better performance to Carolina, as we saw earlier in the year. As we know, they got shut out that game 30-0. I was on here ranting about that game and how nothing went right, obviously, for Atlanta. And they did play a lot better. But looking ahead, coming out of this game, it's going to be tough. Not going to sugarcoat it. It is going to be a potentially rocky road for the Atlanta Falcons for the remainder of this 2025 season. And you might ask, well, Logan, why do you say that? It's not just because of the 5-game losing streak that this team is on, but it is also due to the fact that they have lost their starting quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. is unfortunately going to miss the remainder of the season. And he suffered a torn ACL. This one, I believe, is in his left knee, is what's diagnosed as. And as we know from Michael, this is nothing new to him. He had multiple ACL. Yes, once again, he had multiple ACL injuries and season-ending injuries, not just to his legs, but to his shoulders, if you don't forget, in his collegiate career, which is why whenever he was drafted, he was a little bit older because he'd stick around a little bit longer to build up his draft stock. And so he's going to be gone the rest of the year. And it really hurts. You saw, bright flashes. You also saw moments where he can grow and get better as a quarterback, but he is done for the season. It's officially announced earlier in this week And overall, when you just kind of looking at his first kind of, in a way, full season as a starter when he started the year. So these are going to be his final numbers for the passing. 1,982 yards. That's ranked 20th at this time. 9 touchdowns, ranked 26th at this moment, and only 3 interceptions, tied for 46, because we know there's a lot of other backup quarterbacks to get in there. Also, quarterback rating 56.5 right there at 17. So it wasn't like he didn't light up the charts or anything like that. He wasn't leading in any kind of major statistical categories, but it's something that you can build off of, and hopefully he can get better and healthy for the 2026 going into 27 season. And well, we know who the backup quarterback is. They're paying him a lot of money. It's Kirk Cousins. He's back. He played in the other week's game, and he's going to be taking over from center once again in kind of a cruel twist of fate to what we saw last year when Cousins went down, or Cousins was benched, put Penix in, and now unfortunately Michael got hurt, and now Kirk is filling in for Penix for the remainder of the season. Kirk Cousins, from just the eye test, from what a lot of people have seen, have said, just hasn't looked the same. And that was a big risk whenever the Falcons signed him last year after a major Achilles injury. And he was older. He still is older at this time. And it just hasn't panned out for Atlanta, unfortunately. So at least, you're paying him all this money. He is going to be starting for the rest of the season. So hopefully that can maybe build a little bit of momentum. But where the Falcons are right now, it's tough to call. However, the injuries weren't done there. It was also announced that Drake London is not going to be out. He's going to be doubtful for this upcoming game against the New Orleans Saints with a knee injury. I believe said he's going to be week to week, so hopefully he can only miss maybe 1 game, might miss 2, but it's not going to be a season-ending surgery like we saw with Michael Penix, so that is, in a way, positive news. They did hear that Devon Diablo is going to be hopefully back this week against the Saints. So that will really help out the defense even more. And looking ahead to this week's game, you're facing off against the New Orleans Saints, who are the only team that's worse than you in your division right now. The Saints 2-8, the Falcons 3-7. And right now, the Falcons have the worst record in terms of their divisional performances. You have not won a division game this season. You haven't won any game in the NFC South, which is just kind of mind-boggling to me at this point. 0-3 on the year. In terms of conference play, just in the NFC alone, 2-4. So 2 of your 3 wins have been against the NFC opponents. And it's been rough for the Falcons, obviously. And looking ahead to the Saints, look, we know they're not doing a whole lot better, but they did pick up the win in their most recent game to move them to 2-8 on the season, which is 4th in the NFC South. We saw them get the 17-7 win against, kind of in a funny way, the Carolina Panthers, coming off of a bye week now. And in that game, we saw Tyler Shugg have a good performance, probably his best performance, some people might say, overall as a pro. 19-27, 2 touchdowns for him, 282, out-dueled Bryce Young in that ball game. Of course, you got Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave on that team, some guys you need to watch out for, obviously, on the offense. And if they can get it clicking, it might be tough for Atlanta, as we've seen with their kind of defensive woes here in recent weeks. But final thoughts on this game, final predictions on this matchup. Kind of sounds like a broken record at this point, but I mean, if the Falcons don't win this ball game here against a divisional opponent, that will put you 0-4 on the year against all the teams in your division in the South. And also, let's not forget, this is going to be an away game as well. This is going to be in the Caesars Dome out there in New Orleans. Falcons have a current, like I said, 5-game winning streak. You don't want to move that to 6. And you wonder just how long the leash is at this point for the front office and all the various parties in there, as well as, of course, head coach Raheem Morris and just everything that's seemingly went wrong this year. You got to wonder when you're going to pull the plug. And if you lose this game against the Saints, I mean, people have been saying it for 5 weeks now since the streak started. But, I mean, if you lose to the worst team in your division on the road, make it a 6-game losing streak, I mean, it's snowballing at this point. And you got to stop the bleeding somehow. Hopefully the Falcons pick up the win this week. If not, then, I mean, a lot of people have already kind of washed their hands with this season and are looking forward to the draft and Well, not seemingly the first round, obviously, for the Falcons, as we know, but just in general, it's going to be a tough go. I don't expect any kind of easy games with this team. I thought I could say that at this point, 12 weeks into the season, with the way this team looked on paper, and they looked a little bit earlier on in the season, but that's just not been the case, unfortunately. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons winning this ball game. If not, then I expect some changes possibly in the next week, or if management and the front office and the owner, Arthur Blank, is just content with just kind of holding off for this season and kind of gutting the front office in the offseason, so be it at this point. But, we all hoped at this point we'd be, barreling towards a NFC South title perhaps. But now we're fighting for our lives in week 12 here to not be at the bottom of the pack. So the Atlanta Falcons go out there, go on the road. It's going to be a tough matchup, obviously. Heated rivals as these two make another chapter in that history. But you got everything's working against you, Atlanta. You got to snap this losing streak eventually, we hope. And we are rooting you on here from the channel here on 100 Yards of Football. So if you enjoyed this episode, everyone, please go like, comment, share, and subscribe. Go live here on the channel each and every single week. Once again, go check out the Atlanta Falcons on the road if you're able to watch it. You're going to be playing this Sunday at 4:25 kick Eastern Standard Time in New Orleans, Louisiana. So go check out the game and go cheer on the Falcons as they hope to snap this nasty losing streak they've been on. Once again, I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on another